hosting big events stimulate the local economy, and the city of Cape Town is aiming to make the most of its premier sporting mixed-use entertainment venue, the asset of the Cape Town Stadium. And as modern as and attractive as the Cape Town Stadium is, it is limited in terms of the events it can host due to its open roof structure. We've seen the benefits enjoyed, for example, at Wimbledon after they installed a roof that allows for uninterrupted play when there's rain. It's quite common nowadays in major stadiums around the world. So there is apparently consideration looking at whether the roof of Cape Town Stadium should be closed. Mayor Geordin Hill-Lewis, appreciate your time. Is this seriously being looked at? Is it being costed? Are the architectural plans being considered of what we could do with Cape Town Stadium?
Morning, Lester. Yes, in fact, we're already somewhere down the road when it became a possibility that we could pitch for the Drickers fight. We started immediately working on that because we know that is a non-negotiable requirement of the UFC that they have an indoor venue. So our engineering teams have already come up with 4 options, actually, all of which work, but work at different costs and have different pros and cons. And have different capacities inside the stadium and so on. All of them would be temporary roofs, so not permanent, but a couple of the options would allow us to erect, take down, re-erect the roof for future events as well. So it gives you some flexibility at the stadium, which is quite nice.
So what time frame are we talking about for the next UFC fight that City is ultimately pitching for? How quickly could this be done?
We would need about 2 months to build the structure. Even the quickest of the structures requires quite a lot of building time. And then you've still got to procure it. So we've said to the national government, the national minister, that we think we could do it absolutely soonest, sometime around March next year. But we would then need confirmation quite soon so that we could get cracking. Obviously, we know there's a meeting happening later this month in Abu Dhabi to discuss this. We're not sure exactly if that meeting is going to be decisive or whether that meeting is just another step in the process. But we're just doing what we can in the background so long to carry on working on those options, carry on working on the engineering designs and so on, so that whatever happens, we're ready. Of course, by the way, we're still competing with Gauteng, so it's certainly by no means in the bag. But our approach is let's be as proactive as possible. Let's get started and show that we are being very well prepared. So we've already sent through all the engineering drawings to the national minister. I met him at the rugby on the weekend and handed all of it over to him. We've made nice little packs for him to take along with to Abu Dhabi, so that he can show the team there that Cape Town is ready if we are granted the privilege.
What consideration would have to be given to the stadium's primary tenant at the moment, Western Province and Stormers Rugby?
Yeah, that's why we've got to time it quite carefully. So we could time it when there's not many games planned. And that's why we're aiming for a kind of late March target. If it gets anything after that, you're going to be in the season, and then you are going to disrupt the anchor tenant. That's not necessarily the end of the world. We can negotiate around other venues for a few games and so on. But yes, it does get harder the later in the year that you get, unless you push it all the way to the end of next year until the season's done. Then you can do it again then. But also, just to be clear, there is also an option of doing it at CTICC. We're not entirely sure of how many people the UFC actually like to have at these things, so we've offered both options. So there's an option to have about 15,000 people inside the CTICC. and we've got some detailed designs on that as well that we're sending through to them.
Look, it will absolutely be a TV spectacle in a TV shot if you could have it at an enclosed Cape Town stadium with a capacity of 55,000 people, and I'm sure if ticket prices allow, you could probably fill Cape Town Stadium for a Dricus du Plessis fight.
I think so.
Of course, it's the issue. The primary issue with UFC is not just the venue, but also the time. So they would want to show that fight in American prime time between 9 and 12 US time, probably Eastern Seaboard time. But that would mean that we'd have an event at Cape Town Stadium anywhere between 3 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock in the morning, Geordin.
Yes, that is a very strange and unique challenge. I'm not sure what the residents near the stadium would have to say about that. But our approach is we'll get to that bridge later and cross it then. What we have to do is just be on the front foot with the venue preparation and making the best possible offer to the UFC for that. And that's what we're focusing on now. We don't have a direct line with them, so we're working through the national government.
Quick question, Geordin. Let's talk about cost and the return on investment. What we're looking like at a cost to temporarily cover Cape Town Stadium, and what are you hoping that would translate in a return on investment to the residents of the city of Cape Town?
Yeah, the costs start at about 30 million and go up steeply from there. But that would be the option that we prefer is the most cost-effective option. And I think the reason I think that it's a great idea is not so much for this one event. It would be awesome for this event, of course, but I'm not sure that it would be justifiable to do for just one day. But the fact that it allows you to reuse it for future events, I think, is a game changer. Because now all of a sudden, you've got basically the option to enclose DHL Cape Town Stadium for future events. And you can just imagine what a difference that's going to make for some concerts, for any number of events, actually. So it's not a matter of just pushing a button like at Wimbledon and it starts to close. It would be a big mission to take up and put down each time. But at least that option is now there. And I think that would be a game changer and well worth the investment. If I have, by the way, just as a matter of interest, asked what would it actually cost to install a Wimbledon style roof, and the estimate was about 800 million. So that's not going to happen.
Mayor Geordin Hill-Lewis, really appreciate your time, your thoughts. Temporary roof for Cape Town Stadium. Already a message here says, Lester, what about the fireworks and all the smoke? I think that would then be also a factor that we're going to have to exclude all the fireworks if the roof is then open for our rugby teams. There was plenty of smoke at Cape Town Stadium last weekend for the Springboks All Blacks. It reminded me of those old Ajax Cape Town days, Kieran. Remember the Rasta uncles there in the corner? I thought I was for one brief moment at Cape Town Stadium or Athlone Stadium during Ajax Cape Town days.